be here. And just to get this topic a bit going, maybe a short story about how the MEF started this journey on sustainability. And that starts with a personal experience I had. And some of you I know for almost 2 decades was working in wholesale and with MEF. But not many of you know that I'm happily married with my wife Barbara, and we have 5 kids. And why is that important? Because Isabel mentioned the importance of diversity and young people in the industry and whatever. But sometimes the young people are challenging us in the way where we are, because in the end they are our consumers as well. So one of our kids, Vivian, was very active with XR. And in the beginning I didn't know what XR was, so then said that is Extinction Rebellion, and we have to do something. So this is now a couple of years ago that they started to be very active. And you might have seen that in the media. And of course at home, at our house table, we have a lot of those discussions. And one of them was not that long ago that she said that we're going to block the highway in the A12 in the Netherlands. And I think we have some Dutch people here. And I said, but Vivi, that is maybe a bit dangerous. Can we do something else? They had blocked Schiphol Airport before without any accident. So she said, no, we know how to do this. So I then said, I challenged her, I said, what is the purpose and what is your target then with this blocking? Because it will create a lot of irritation. And then she said, well, you know, we want to know and we want to get the facts on the table how much fossil fuel subsidies there are at this moment in the Netherlands. I said, well, okay, that's interesting. So how much is there? She said, well, there's about, we guess, 2.6 billion per year in fossil subsidies. And as the Dutch here know, that blocking kept on going for a couple of weeks. And the government was forced to bring the facts on the table. And it was interesting because in the end, it turned out that annually in the Netherlands, 46 billion is spent on fossil fuel subsidies. Now, when you think about the figure you have heard earlier this week from the COP28 in Dubai, there a new disaster fund was announced by the UAE chair of about 400 million. But 400 million is nothing. It's nothing. It's really nothing. It's only 1% of the Dutch fossil fuel subsidies. So whilst getting more excited about this topic, I challenged and I discussed with Dario, so what can we do in the telecoms? What can we do as MEF? How can we inspire each other to be more active ourselves? Because the world is changing and the temperature is rising. So then Dario challenged me and said, okay, why don't we start and create a nice white paper? So on the website of MEF, you can now see a climate guide, which is created for small and medium enterprise companies. Because not all of us are Orange, not all of us are Telenor or Vodafone, which has huge programs and people and smart money put behind everything we'll see later in this session. So that guide you can download if you are a smaller company who still not have maybe the programs in place. So that is why we have this topic here today. Because as an industry, we have to align and we have to work together. Because also our industry, as Isabel pointed out, is polluting. We are polluting and we are a greenhouse gas emission producing sector. Fine. But whilst writing that white paper, that MEF white paper, we found out that the ICT sector is able to help other sectors tenfold to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. And I think that is something, a key message which I would like to really get across, is that we can do a lot also for others. And therefore I'm very happy that in the presentation we see later here in the session that we have good examples of IoT applications which helps in the end enterprise customers or end consumers to reduce CO2 emissions. So that having said so, I think today we are in Paris. The Paris agreement was mentioned, aiming to reduce the temperature rise not further than 1.5 degrees, but regretfully we are already on 1.1. Yeah? So that's where we are today. So we have to make this change together. And today, as we speak, the COP28 is taking place in Dubai. You will see a lot of information coming from that. But we didn't want to fly you all to Dubai, so therefore we have two inspiring sessions and presentations here, just to cross-fertilize and share information. So first I would like to thank and call on stage Orange Wholesale, François Moreau de Saint-Martin. François, welcome. And François, the floor is yours to explain a little bit on what Orange is doing when it comes to greenhouse gas emission reductions.
Yeah, so good morning to all of you. And so before explaining what we do, I believe it's important to share some orders of magnitude, because in this area of greenhouse gas emissions, we are not yet familiar collectively with orders of magnitude. So where do we generate carbon when we are a telco? And so on the left-hand side, you have the main areas. So you probably have heard of the 3 scopes, whereas we measure carbon emissions. Scope 1 is actually the direct emissions. So for a telco, it's typically our cars, if they are not electrical. It's gensets. For Orange, we have Orange Marine with cable ships, and cable ships consume gas oil and emit carbon as well. That's the scope 1. It actually accounts for less than 10% of the typical emissions. Now, then you have the scope 2, which is all the carbon generated by the power you buy. And so in this respect, it depends highly on the country you're operating, depending how much power is related to fossil energies. So when you're in France, so most of the power comes from nuclear and renewable energies. So you have a pretty low scope 2. In other countries where coal, for instance, is important, you may be much higher. But so to give an order of magnitude, you will be between 10 and 20% in this respect. And so in this area, you can work on how much energy you consume and how do you source your energy, and if you are able to source a greener energy than before. And so then you have the big part of the emissions of a telco is actually related to the scope 3. The scope 3 is the carbon generated by the value chain around you. And we split between the upstream scope 3 and the downstream scope 3. Upstream is all the carbon emitted by your suppliers. So it's all if we go, it is for a telco the big part of our emissions. And what is it made of? I will outline 4 main areas. The first one is buying network equipment. This accounts for 20 to 30% of the total emissions of a telco. And there is much you can do in this area that we will probably discuss a bit later. The second area for the upstream scope 3 is the services you buy, and that's a lot about the field operations and carbon generated by all these people driving around for your network, for your customers, and generating carbon this way. That's something you can improve by working with your contractors, your suppliers in this respect, to have them using electric cars and so on and so forth. And there is also a lot you can do to reduce as much as possible the number of operations in the field, and AI, for instance, can help you there. Third area of the upstream scope 3 is all the customer equipment. It is all the handsets that you will buy in you will sell in your shops. It is the home gateways or set-top boxes that you will provide your customer with. This is something like 10+ % of your carbon emissions. So, and the fourth area in the scope 3 is a downstream part. It is how much carbon is generated because your customers use the products you have sold them. So it is when we sell a handset, we will make our customers use power for this handset. Same with home gateways, B2B CPEs, and so on. And actually, the most important part is for the CPEs, B2C or B2B. Because actually they are plugged to the grid 24 hours a day, while the handset just need to be plugged for a few hours a day. So this downstream part is only something like 10% of the total emissions. But that gives some of the order of magnitudes I wanted to share with you. And on the right-hand side, I wanted to outline the commitment made by Orange. I will not go into the details, but to be able to divide by 10 the total emissions by 2040, we have a roadmap that we need to follow with important milestones in 2025 and in 2030 for the different components of the emissions.
Well, thanks for that introduction, François. We'll go into detailed questions after the next presentation. So I would like to ask Paulo Vergos on stage. Paulo is the Chief Commercial Officer of Telenor IoT, came all the way from Sweden.
You can go back a slide just to... As Gerrit mentioned, I'm a Chief Sales Officer within Telenor IoT. And I'm honored to be a part of this super important topic. As a sales director, maybe I'm not the most competent within sustainability, but since I'm chiefing the IoT part, you can say IoT is a key enable technology today to facilitate and drive green conversion journeys. And we see that a lot during our discussions with the customers today. So that will be sort of my perspective during this session. So just some words about Telenor IoT and Telenor. Usually when I do present my company, I like to start with this slide. It tells us a lot about us without any text. This is actually a visualizing slide. Our roughly 20 million devices across the world signaling during 24 hours to the base stations. And this slide says a lot. It says that in order to have that spread, you must work with international big customers that have global deployments, right? You also have to be part of a group that have the negotiation power and the skills to have this kind of reliable quality access around the globe. So thank you to my colleagues within Telenor Links. They're supporting us in this. So we can go to the next slide.
I think that was a hint, huh? It's
not working?
Why it's not working? There we are.
Perfectly. Some short words about Telenor. I think Charlotte also mentioned the most, but we are a dominating operator in the Nordics, but also in Asia. Our mission is to empower societies and to connect our customers to what matters most. We have 8 big operations, 4 in the Nordics, fully house operations, mobile, fixed, TV services, and then we have 4 operations in Asia, 2 fully owned and two with a minority position based on two region big mergers in Thailand and Malaysia. Those operations are mainly mobile. 209 million customers, roughly $13 billion in revenues. And when it comes to IoT, Telenor IoT is our sort of dedicated operation towards big, large, customized deployments within IoT. We were early on the stage. We have 20 years experience. We are ranked on the leaders quadrant by Gartner, and we have some really long and lasting relations with Saab, Scania, very sure, Toyota, Husqvarna, and so on. So this some quick wrap up regards to Telenor IoT. So we can go to the next slide.
Let's try this one.
And this is actually why I'm here, the main topic of today. IoT is not a typical mass market B2B. We are very verticalized because the potential for IoT deployments are bigger in certain verticals. This is the 5 verticals that we are focusing upon and have done for recent years. What's also interesting is that those 5 verticals also stand for 80% of the emission today. So we have a perfect match. And this is a lot of use cases happening at this very moment. Traditionally, IoT was very commercial driven. Can we save cost by connecting our devices to the internet and reduce operational stuff? Or can we increase our value proposition and put a price tag on top? But now we see use cases mainly run by sustainability KPIs. Just a quick run, automotive. It's a lot of things happening with automotive. We know the EV trend, but also a lot of data is withdrawn from the vehicle, but also from the driving behavior. And with that, they can sort of reduce the emission impact of the market. You have the traditional logistic and transport business, where we see use cases within route optimization. You see within the smart cities, it's about to control the temperatures within building, garbage disposal, outside lighting, EV charging. I mean, there's tons of use cases today. We also see a trend within industrial manufacturing that connectivity is more by design today. Usually in the past, connectivity was something late in the production process because you have to figure out where would this car or this machine end up, so to say. Today, with UICC capabilities, that kind of production is now making it early in the process. So we can have a sort of Telenor profile in all the products. And when the product lands in Brazil, we can swap to a local operator, so to say. So that is what we call industrial manufacturing, IoT by design. And of course, the last segment, utility industry, is a whole new ecosystem is upbuilding now in order to sort of handling the supply and demand issues. So it's a lot of things happening, and we, as an operator in this house, have a major role to play in order to facilitate those journeys.
Thank you, Paulo.
Thank you.
We have only 8 minutes left, but there's so many questions. Let's first go to the old award you had, the Oscar Award, the GSMA Award, in fact, 2 years ago. That was, of course, a network-driven activity. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the network side, what you're doing there with the team?
Yeah, so Oscar stands for Orange, Sustainable and Circular Ambition for Recertification. And it's actually our program to promote circular economy for the network equipments. So that we buy more and more recycled equipment, second-hand equipment, that we reuse equipment within the group, and that we sell also equipment for reuse. And so that's a long journey to switch to a circular economy for network equipment, because technology is pushing us towards more new standards, more efficient equipment, and so on and so forth. So we need to think differently in the design of the network, and to think differently in the management of the purchasing process and the management of our assets. So it's about eco-design. It's about the purchasing process and the governance, and I believe we need a strong internal governance to make these kind of things happen. You need trainings, and you also need a very important aspect, and that we are here to discuss, is that it is an ecosystem play. An operator, even Telenor or Orange, cannot make this happen alone. We need to make it happen together with the vendors, with those players specifically focusing on circular economy, and as an industry.
Yes. Yeah, so by the way, we have our MEFI's awards coming up in Barcelona as well, with the category of sustainability. So you can apply. We'll be happy if you apply. Last year, Vodafone won with their handset replacement activities. A massive endeavor they did. So I think the bar is getting higher to win such an award. But Paulo, back to your presentation. I think you gave this example of the trucks reducing emissions, households where you help to with IoT device to measure temperature. But if you look at those scopes 1, 2, and 3, Telenor is doing exactly the same in the same way.
Of course. Yes, we are working with all the scopes, and that is needed in order to have impact on all levels. For instance, we have removed our copper lines in Norway and replaced it with 5G, and that saved us 14 gigawatt hours on annual basis. Only that, and within Asian affiliates, we're working a lot with solar panels in order to remove the diesel generators, and that also gave us an annual savings on 16%. And that is what we do. And then we are pushing our suppliers a lot in order to implement their sustainability science-based targets. And there we have the ambition that during 2025, 68% of our spend, supplier spend, will have those targets implemented. And in total emissions, our aiming is during 2030 to have 57% decreased emissions based on 2019 baseline. Yeah. So we work in all kind of aspects, and that is really needed.
Yeah. And let's say a question to both of you for let's say the audience and discussion on wholesale. What can your wholesale customers expect from you? If you look at it from your view, you as being a supplier in the value chain, François.
Yeah, so there is obviously a growing concern from our different customers, and it comes with the request: how much carbon do you generate because of us? Meaning, for our clients, what is our upstream scope 3 with you, Orange, as a vendor? And so we are now able to deliver more and more information. So information related to more and more offers to share this with our clients. But beyond this, the discussion becomes: how do we together work to reduce your carbon footprint? And this goes back to the main driver, I believe, for the industry to reduce our carbon footprint, which is sharing, infrastructure sharing, network sharing. And that's a key lever that we activate as a wholesale division with our clients.
Yeah, Paulo?
From my perspective, I would say if you join us as a partner or a reseller or a wholesale, you will be part of our ecosystem. Of course, you will be part of the sort of thinking that we do in the think tanks where we share insights and business models. But also, secondly, I would say that we are very close to our partners and resellers, working very close on business opportunities and to joint opportunities. At this very moment, we're working together with a wholesale partner in Denmark in order to launch a retrofit solution for the automotive, because facing the 2G and 3G sunsets, we will have fairly new cars on the market, not connected anymore, so to say. So that is kind of work we do together. Share insights and drive opportunities, I will say.
Okay, thank you. We have only 2 minutes left, but are there any burning questions? Any questions? No questions?
I've got one, of course.
Yes, please.
So I guess in anything in the world, not everyone evolves at the same time. Not everyone innovates at the same speed. So do you see a difference between the regions? Are some of the operators evolving or pushing that topic faster than others?
Yeah, I think there's globally a different uptake has been on IoT. I think it's Telenor more in the Nordics with a lot of innovative companies, technology companies there. Let's say Orange more focused on Africa. I don't know, maybe it's a good question to open up to you as well. How you see that, let's say, innovation going in Africa as an example?
Mm.
Well, so the sensitivity to the carbon emissions is more developed in Europe than in other continents. When you go to Africa and ask them what is important in terms of corporate social responsibility, the primary points which are outlined are related to digital inclusion. Do your job of connecting everyone to the internet at an affordable price. That's the starting. That's the starting point in Africa in terms of expectation, and this drives also a lot of the innovation in Africa. And the most famous example is about mobile money. That was a real success and emerged there.
Okay, thank you. Any more question? Last call. Last call, dernier service, as we say in Quebec. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you very much.